And good morning, everyone. This is Hindu Lounge. Namaste and welcome to Hindu Lounge. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by HinduPACT. HinduPACT is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective. HinduPACT is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 8 o'clock 8 o'clock Pacific and 11 o'clock Eastern. And as always, we have our host, Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsav is the Executive Director of HinduPACT. Utsada, welcome and namaste. Uh, and I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America. And in Hindu Lounge, we talk about contemporary American Hindu issues. Utsada, welcome. And
Thank you.
we have a we are going to inaugurate or unveil something today that has never ever been done before. This is a unique presentation of our capability for the Hindu community in America, where the congressional elections are coming up, right, in November first week, and we will elect all of the House of Representatives and a third of a Senate, like we do every 2 years. It's a biennial election, and we figured, and last year, if you remember, in the last election cycle, we started experimenting with ways that Hindu community can have their voice heard. And we set up a website called HinduVote.org. And we said, here is a way Hindus can engage in the electoral process. And today, what we are going to do, Sada, is to actually unveil a functionality that nobody has ever seen before and nobody has ever created before for the Hindu community. So I'll leave it at that. And I'll give you a chance to, just give some introductory remarks. And today we have a special guest. We have with us Rakhi Israni, and Rakhi is the executive director for legal for HinduPACT. She is also volunteers in many different organizations, Hindu organizations, as a senior executive in all those organizations, and she works relentlessly. I don't know how she manages all the stuff that she does. So welcome, Rakhi, and I'll go turn it over to Utsada and then on to Rakhi. Go ahead, Utsada.
Thank you, Ajay bhai, and welcome, Rakhi. I was going to say that you should have introduced Rakhi by just naming the organization that she doesn't work for, and because that's a much shorter list than the one she works for. And also, when I say that with a lot of care, because for each one that she works for, she gives in more than 100% that she can. So that is, as you said rightly, unique to Rakhi, and only she knows how she does it. But what we are going to discuss today is an amazing new effort, and I have to commend Ajay bhai for doing hours and hours and hours of work and putting into effect some of his own professional skills and experiences to put together a wonderful website that we are going to launch soon. And that will be an asset to the entire Hindu American community. In fact, it will be an asset to all the entire American community, because it highlights a certain issues, certain points that communities around the country have been wondering how they deal with, and how to engage lawmakers on the issues they care about. So, Ajay bhai, please go ahead and actually let me give it to Rakhi, because I introduced her.
Yeah. Rakhi did. A lot of these ideas actually came from Rakhi. So Rakhi, welcome. And I know you're in West Coast, so it's early for you. So thank you for taking time early in the morning in your day and joining us today.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
All right. So, Raki, I'll start with you as the first question. And we've been talking about engaging Hindu community in the electoral process. And unlike Utsoda and me, you actually were born and brought up in US, right? So, what is your experience with the Hindu community's engagement in the political process in America?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Hindu community, the Hindu American community, has always been very focused on what they need to do in life, right? I mean, what's important for me and my family, making a living, taking care of my kids, following the laws and rules, and for that reason, I don't think they've ever really understood the importance of being politically active in this country. And this country is, given the way that democracy works, is it's pretty evident that if you're what is it saying, that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, right? And even if you're not on the menu, it's this idea that that the law can actually take away or leave you weak in some ways, of financially vulnerable, or you get left out, right, in terms of decision making. And I think the Hindu American community has really been, well, I guess, on the menu for the most part in a lot of places in the United States. And I guess it's a good thing, because it's finally waking up the Hindu American community that we need to pay attention to what the lawmakers are doing, and what's happening in our cities. And so, to answer your question, historically, we just haven't been very involved until recently.
But Raki, if you look at the amount of if you look at the amount of money that uh, Hindu Americans donate to political candidates or to civic organizations, advocacy organizations, they donate quite a bit. Actually, they donate probably more than a lot of other communities do, and yet they have no voice at the table, and they are, as you said, they are the menu item instead of people whose voices are heard. So why no return on investment? What is it that, and I'll ask the same question to Utsada, because he has done, he lives in DC and he has a inside the beltway view on this. So I'll start with you, Raki. Why no return on investment after spending so much money?
Because we're not a community to make noise. I mean, we follow the laws and we do what's right. We have a very set view of the world is good and the world is going to just take care of us. And I think it's for that reason that we give, because we feel that's maybe the right thing to do, or it gives us that attention, or it gives us that good feeling of doing it. But we've never really been a community that's asked for anything in return. We've never really been a community that has said, no, look at me, do what I need you to do. And we've never sought out that the attentions or those favors. And, that's something that, has actually turned out to be a huge mistake. That I think that, if you're giving money, we are giving money. And we are voting, but with that comes the responsibility of actually making sure that the lawmakers are doing the right thing, that they're understanding their constituents and they're understanding the world around them. And the second part of the whole thing is that there is a duty for the voters to actually educate themselves about the issues and the candidates, to be a little bit more responsible in wielding that power, right? I mean, they say that political power is actually way more important than economic power. And I think that that's something that we haven't really understood as a community.
So, Utsada, you have thought about this for a long time. What are your thoughts?
Well, one of my biggest issues in terms of the community's behavior over the decades have been that, as Rakhi pointed out, it's a very hopeful community. It's a community that works within itself, works within the constitution, works within the laws of the society it lives in, but hopes for the best from those institutions. And increasingly over the years, over the decades, it was visible that the American Hindu community was not getting what it deserved from those institutions. And progressively, the situation had become so bad in the last 10 years that people started coming up with ways and means to deal with this situation as it gets deteriorating every election cycle, every 2 years. And at this point, it has become, Hindu targeted Hindu hate, or as many people call it, Hindu phobia. Some call it Hindu misia, some call it in Hindu dvesha, different words for meaning the same thing. They all have reached a threshold where the community cannot take it anymore. It is no more in the sphere of rhetoric and media and social media. It is now on the streets. And in the last couple of months, we have seen how day after day, Hindu Americans, everyday Hindu Americans, whether they're in campuses, whether they're in the public square, are being targeted. So I think this would be a forward step in empowering the community to make their lawmakers answerable, because that is one of the pillars of the institutions that I believe can act in a very decisive way to change the situation.
Um, so the what can you what did we as HinduPACT decide to do this election cycle with our Hindu Vote website? So just like HinduPACT has some significant initiatives. One of them we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Dipti Mahajan. We talked about Chingari, and Rakhi was integral part of that as well. And we have another such initiative. We have several, right? One of the other initiative that we have is Hindu Vote, and we say that Hindu vote is something that you need for enlightened democracy. What is it we intend to do in this election cycle to make the Hindu voice heard? And then I'll ask Rakhi, I'll ask you the exact same question. So go ahead, Utsav.
So one of the most important steps we are making with Hindu Vote on behalf of HinduPACT is that we are trying to reach the lawmaker with a set of questions, and we are empowering the masses to look at the lawmaker, evaluate the lawmaker on the basis of issues that concern the community. So when you do that, it's a communication that is happening at both ends. So the lawmaker gets a chance to engage the community through the questionnaire that we are sending them, which will be publicly displayed in a interactive form at the website. And at the same time, the community is getting a chance to look at the lawmaker, evaluate the lawmaker, understand the lawmaker and their opponent. Everybody needs to understand that as a 501c3, we are non-partisan, and we are sending the same piece of information and the same analysis extremely transparently to all sides, all parties, all candidates involved. So just wanted to get it on the record here. So this is something that will bring us closer to the lawmakers and their staff. And believe me, you will see over the next 1 month how this can make a difference, and you will see the difference actually in the behavior and the actions of the lawmakers as well. I'll have Rakhi speak to this as well.
Yeah. So, the questionnaire that Utsav just mentioned, the whole goal of this idea and this initiative is really to do, I would say, three things, right? Focus the votes on the issues that matter, educate the voters about those issues, and third is to encourage voting, right? I mean, a lot of paralysis and inaction happens from not really knowing, the candidates or the issues or whatever. And so the whole goal of this website or the initiative is really to make it as easy as possible for everyone to really understand, what are the core issues in a particular campaign or in a particular election, and, make it as easy as possible for them to go out and exercise that power.
Perfect. So with that, I just add one thing, and that is, it almost, to me, sometimes it seems like, a lot of the, I go back to the why, we're not seeing enough return on investment. If I were to answer my own question, I would say that, we don't really have a convergence on the core issues that affect the Hindu community. And the Hindu community, the donors within the Hindu community, all of us think in terms of, is this something that is going to make me a more recognizable or recognized individual in the community, in the mainstream, American community, in American politics? So, will I be able to get an audience with a senator, or will I be able to get a dinner invite, or to a party where the A-list people from Washington D.C. are going to be there? And I think that seemed to be the end goal, rather than utilizing that for a political purpose. And I think that, as the community matures, or as the community feels the pain of some of these issues that we talked about, whether they are the recent issue, Rakhi, where you took the lead on the Tenek Democratic Municipal Committee, committee's blatant Hindu phobic resolution that they passed, or the the attacks that are happening, it seems like every day. And I'm going to talk about one more that happened in Bay Area, a person who got arrested in Bay Area just 2 days ago for tormenting 14 Hindu women, or the one that happened in Dallas, or the Hindu temples in New York that got vandalized, or in Taco Bell at Fremont, or was it San Jose or Fremont? Fremont, right? Fremont. Yeah. So some of the none of these issues have really hit home in a big way, and I'm not even talking about the larger political issues where they but we want to talk about whether it is talking about the college admissions and other things. That we're not even talking about that. We're talking about issues related to physical safety, and we have not gotten any traction. So with that, I think so what is really, as both of you have alluded to, it's really important that we articulate the Hindu uh, political position and bring as many community members together, and make sure that the Hindu voice is heard in the policy making, and at the legislative, at not just the federal legislative level, not just in U.S. Congress, but not at the White House, not in the Senate, but also at the state legislators and in the city councils. And I really want to commend a lot of our karyakartas, the HinduPACT karyakartas, especially in Ohio. I want to call them out, but they're just everywhere, but especially in Ohio, where they're doing so much on the ground work, and they're going to city council meetings, and they're meeting their state legislators and federal legislators and all that, to impress upon them the core Hindu issues that affect the safety and well-being of Hindus in America. So with that, let's do the big reveal. I mean, I think we've been kind of we've been teasing that for a while, and we've been saying that we have something really good to share. So I want to just give a prelude to that, and that Rakhi and Utsav have done a lot of work on this through the years, and this is the last piece, is the technology piece, but the real work in coming up with the questions and coming up with the how do you present present it to, on one hand, the Hindu community, on the other hand, to the legislators. How do you get their how do you get their um, engagement up, so that a significant amount of work has gone into it. And I'll just quickly show you the new website, and I'll walk you through a special section on the website which is for elections 2022. So with that, let me bring up the website. It just is recently revamped. So with anything that is recently revamped, you always hope that it works, but let's see. We will find out. Uh, so this is the new HinduVote website. It starts usually when you go there. It starts with this, and it'll show you the Hindu vote, enlightened democracy, and there's a slider. There's an article that Utsav wrote about the importance of historic importance of the Hindu vote in the upcoming elections, and some of the legislative actions that we have undertaken. And then we have a whole bunch of resources here. We say that if and this is the part we'll show today, which is Congressional Election 2022. But we have also got a lot of tools for the voters, voter registration, a whole bunch of other tools, from pledging to vote, to get out of the to finding the polling booths, get out of the vote campaign that we are going to do. We are going to engage our partners with the at Hindu Mandir Executives Conference and others, to see if we can get Hindu vote out. We also do voter outreach. We we do programs that are aimed at lawmakers and candidates to make them aware of Hindu issues. We have done briefings and testimonies with the legislators. And beyond the Hindu issues, we are not just talking about Hindu issues, right? We are talking about all the of issues that affect all the society. We're just thinking about the issues from the dharmic perspective. So they're not necessarily Hindu issues. All of them are Hindu issues, but they're issues from the dharmic perspective, such as the jobs and financial security, healthcare, social security, education, abortion, school prayer, gun control, all the hot button issues. What is the dharmic view, or view from the dharmic perspective on all these issues? And finally, we want to make sure that we hold the legislators whose votes, who have counted on our votes, we hold their feet to fire, and we continuously monitor that and to make sure that the issues are addressed. And then finally, a whole bunch of material that we have created through the ages, right? So these are the issues. There are 2020 election, 2022 elections, the congressional actions, the HinduLounge voter education shows. So the whole and articles and all kinds of other things that are here. So if you go to, for example, congressional actions, it will show you all the congressional actions. We've done 5 significant ones so far in last couple of years, 3 of them in last 1 year, and then we have done several HinduLounge shows on voter education. And this is now we go to the Congressional Election 2022 website. So if you were to click on this link, it will bring up this website. And this Hindu Vote Guide to Congressional Elections 2022. And all you have to do is really put your address here and search, and it will present you with the candidate. So I'll just put some random address that I think I should be able to put. Let's see, some address in so I'll put an address in San Diego that I'm familiar with. And I don't have to put the entire address. I just put Rotherham Avenue in San Diego. Okay, so if I were to click search on this, and live demos are always a little iffy, but let's see how it goes. So here are the 2 congressional candidates. If we have the photo easily available, we would put up photo. Sometimes the photo is not easily available. In that case, we will look for photo and get it from the candidate or from the website. We'll put them here. But you'll see here the candidates for House of Representatives, and we'll see candidates for US Senate. And of course, there are some voting tools that are at the bottom. I'll show you the voting tools a little later in the show. But now, if you were to say pick, Alex, let's pick Juan Vargas. So Juan Vargas is a sitting.
I don't think that's showing on the screen.
Oh, it is not. Oh,
No.
because I've gone to the other window. I'm so sorry. I should. Thank you. So that means you missed out on the website itself the first time I showed. Yes, you
No,
did.
you need to put out the zip code based.
Yeah. Let me show that again. So let me show that again. I moved on to a different browser, so that's why it didn't show. I'll do the demo again. That's not a problem. All right, thanks for pointing it out. So I'll go back and let me go back and show you how I started. So I started with this website called Election.
Ajay bhai, hold on. So I just want to say that for our audiences, that we are going to make a small clip of the part Ajay bhai is showing, and we will be sharing it around on all our platforms and all our allied associate organizations for people to understand how to go about doing things. So Ajay bhai, I think that's important for people to understand, and we will do that.
Absolutely. So if you were to go to our homepage and click on Congressional Elections 2022, or the big graphic that comes when the site opens, it will take you to this page, which says Hindu Vote Guide to Congressional Elections 2022. And at the bottom, there are some voting tools. We are adding more and more tools every day, and I'll show you the set of tools we have elsewhere on the website. Here, you would put in your address. So I'll just put an address that I was talking about, one of the addresses in San Diego that I'm familiar with. So I just have to put the name of the street. I don't even have to put the entire address if someone is concerned of privacy or any of that. So let's say I pick Rotherham Avenue in San Diego, California, and I click on search, and here is what I get. I get a list of candidates for House Representatives, and I get a list of candidates for US Senate. And when I click on, let me pick Juan Vargas. So Juan Vargas is the Democratic, current Congress person from California 52. And I say, okay, well, let's see how Juan Vargas is he. How does he vote on Hindu issues? Or what are his thoughts? And what do I think about him? Because I live in his constituency. So I would click on Juan Vargas's name, and I get the Juan Vargas on the right hand side. You'll see that I get the biography of Juan Vargas, and if I have easy access to his social media, that social media panels would also appear. So, for example, his Twitter feed, his Facebook feed, we would be able to show all of that. Now, part where you, as a voter, uh, will have the opportunity to express your thoughts on Juan Vargas. So you can say, and these are very carefully crafted questions for Juan Vargas. And I'll have Rakhi and Utsav comment upon the questions as to why we pick certain questions. So this is your view of Juan Vargas. If you go down, and I'll share these questions with you, and we'll have some discussion on these questions. At HinduPACT, we are sending all 900 to 1,000 candidates a common questionnaire, and to seek their opinion on issues that affect Hindus. So now we are, and all Americans, right? So we are sending this questionnaire out. Uh, we are starting today, and we hope that within a week we will have the answers from all the candidates to help you choose which candidate you should vote for. And Utsav has picked four legislations, and we are going to, as HinduPACT, we are going to rate the candidate and say, does this candidate um, have a position that resonates with HinduPACT? Okay, so we will have a thumbs up, thumbs down on the position that candidate has taken. That would be our view of that candidate's agreement to our position. Again, we are not recommending that you vote for one candidate the other, but we are recommending, we would give you what we thought about their vote. And that, in a nutshell, is a website. So now, before I go any further, I just want Rakhi and Utsada to kind of opine on the questions that we picked for this voter survey. How did we, voter survey is your view of a candidate. How do you, it's a crowdsourced way of rating a candidate. So Utsada or Rakhi, either one of you, please tell us, uh, how did you, you know, what was the criteria for picking these questions?
So,
Rakhi, please go ahead with the questions. Then I can take the second part, which is the resolutions.
sounds good. So, I think these questions were designed in a way that would allow people from our community who have interacted with these candidates to the ability to amplify their experiences for the benefit of the entire community, right? I mean, not every Hindu American in every community has the chance to meet a lot of these candidates, but they at least should know that, based on the experiences of people who care about our community and understand the issues, what their thoughts are on the certain candidates that are now running for election, so that it allows every voter to focus their vote on the issues that actually matter for the community.
Yeah. So Ajay, if you scroll down slightly and see,
Yeah, I'll bring up the candidate questionnaire because they are
I'll talk about the resolutions.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
we'll talk about the
then we
questionnaire.
can
Sure.
talk about the questionnaire.
Yeah, tell us about these resolutions.
So these resolutions that came over the last couple of years, obviously, are relevant only to the people who were already in Congress. So only one of the candidates in a election will be able to we will be able to evaluate them. But it is important to evaluate them because it is one of the most important markers of their position towards the American Hindu community. And we chose these bills and resolutions very carefully because they point to three things. Number one, what the posture of this candidate has been towards Hindus in America and around the world. Around the world is important because Hindus, there are 4 million Hindus in America, but there are more than a billion Hindus around the world, primarily in the Indian subcontinent. And their well-being has been significantly affected by American foreign policy. So it is important for us to evaluate lawmakers who have a role and a position on American foreign policy to see where they stand. And there have been lawmakers who have not been that positive towards the global Hindu community. So these resolutions actually look at that. They also look at the positions these resolutions take towards American Hindus, and what they think about American Hindus, or whether they even think about American Hindus. Because there are many, many lawmakers who have been completely neutral, who don't have a position. But there are some who have had taken negative postures towards American Hindu communities. So if you look at each of these resolutions, and you can go to the website and look at it once we launch it, we will give
It is
our
launched. So that
okay.
it just got launched. You just launched it.
Okay,
Rakhi and you both just launched it.
okay, there you go. So it is out there, and over the next couple of days you will see HinduPACT's evaluation of these resolutions, and what we think of the candidate that they took, the position that they took on these resolutions. And please be mindful that this would be a key decider, or we would encourage the voters to consider this as a key factor for those candidates who have had a role in these resolutions. That
So
would be my.
any one particular one that is really critical out of these four, or one or two that people should absolutely pay attention to?
I think the one from 2022 being the most recent, which is House Resolution 1196. Uh, so far it has 12 co-sponsors. So if I were asked this question, I would
And for
consider
people
that.
who don't know the numbers, you probably want to verbalize what is 1196.
So what 1196 does, and it is a very deceptive language. It pretends to be a resolution that speaks about religious minorities in a positive way in India, but essentially it targets American Hindus and Hindus in the Indian subcontinent as the perpetrators of uh, uh, imaginary violence, which we believe is not right, and based on inaccurate information and misinformation and disinformation, actually more than misinformation. Uh, so that resolution was brought up by Ilan Omar. It at this point, as of today, has 12 co-sponsors. Only three co-sponsors in the beginning when the resolution was brought. So not a very popular resolution, given the fact that there is significant lobbying and advocacy that was done in favor of that resolution. Just 12 co-sponsors is not a big deal in a Congress, but we would be very clear about pointing out that those 12 lawmakers, in our opinion, do not have any positive things to say or do about Hindus in America or Hindus in other parts of the world. So that, in my opinion, would be the most relevant one. But there are other ones which are also very relevant, and also there have been positive efforts made by there has been a resolution that wants to recognize Deepavali as a formal festival in America, and that resolution was co-sponsored by many congressmen and congresswomen. So that resolution would be something that we would look at positively, and Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy brought the resolution. So these are the things, some of the points that I would like to make about
Thank you. So that
And,
Rakhi,
you know,
I'm going
it. Rakhi
to
had
ask
something to
you.
add.
Pardon me.
Did you, Rakhi?
I
Did you have?
just want to say one
Oh
thing
yeah, please
to
go ahead.
what. Yeah, I mean, the significance of this site is really the idea that as I mentioned, I mean, there are three main purposes, right? And one is to allow voters to focus their votes, educate the voters, and to encourage voting. But the most important thing is that we're allowing them to focus their votes in a way that makes good sense for our community, not by telling anyone to vote this way, or this is how you should vote on that election day, but by really sharing and showing them the data, to allow them to make a good decision as they cast their vote.
That is an excellent point. Rakhi, I'm going to show you the questionnaire that HinduPACT has prepared. for the candidates. So let me share the screen with the questionnaire and ask you why we picked some of these questions. And Utsada, please jump in when you feel like as well. So here is the, I hope you can see the screen where it says questionnaire for Congressional Candidates 2022. And these are, and I can make it a little bigger if it's somewhat small writing, so that it becomes easier to read. So let me okay. Um, so the first set of questions are, so these are the questions, as I said earlier, are being sent to all the candidates, um, regardless of whether the current Congress or Senate members are their candidate. And we are in a completely automated process where all the 1,000 or so candidates who are running for office will get the same questionnaire, and they will be able to answer these questions. And so we actually urge you to reach out to candidates in your constituency and ask them, hey, have you received the questionnaire from HinduPACT on Hindu or Hindu, and have you from which kind of catalogs the issues from the, or your opinion from the Hindu perspective, and have you had an opportunity to respond to this survey, because a significant number of Hindus will rely on these answers to make up their mind. So with that, Rakhi, what is the rationale for picking the questions that we have picked?
So I think, we had gone through this process of looking at all the various issues that, that show up in a lot of these campaigns and narrowing them down to, 8 or 10 issues that are most important for the Hindu American community as a whole. Things like, the textbook stuff, what's being taught to our children, what's happening on our college campuses, the whole idea of merit-based education, immigration, and how the time it takes for people to get green cards, or the extended delays that are these country caps and things like that. The human rights for our own Hindus in other countries, namely Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh. What the lawmakers think about things like that, and then foreign policy. Foreign policy. What a lot of lawmakers see. About the relationship between U.S. and in India. And the importance of that relationship with regards to the rest of the world. So these issues, I think I've covered a lot of them. And the hate
Yeah,
crimes,
absolutely.
as well.
And so I mean, some of them are really interesting to me, because why would we even need a question like this, right? The first question: will you consult practitioners of Hindu faith to develop guidelines related to accommodation of Hindus in workplace, educational institutions, hospitals, prisons, etc.? Now, I would have thought that in a democracy like ours, this would be a given, because I have seen other faiths, exercise, rights and privileges, all across the country. Why would this be a question? Why would Hindus even bother asking this? Because isn't this a natural and it should be there?
Well, we've seen that's actually not been the case, right? And a lot of these, for example, even the TNEC resolution that you mentioned earlier, it was done so rashly and so poorly researched that that's actually been the norm, right? I mean, this is what is it called? TikTok generation, where you see people from like the students up until the lawmakers that are making very rash decisions based on a little bit of information. And so you would, I guess the expectation is that any lawmaker that's making laws that affect a large group of people should actually do the due diligence, or be willing to do the due diligence to understand both sides of an issue, which has actually not been the case lately.
So that your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think the questionnaire is something that while the questionnaire was being prepared, we were as sad as we were eager to share it, because many of the questions actually address issues that should be natural for lawmakers to address on their own, but they haven't been. And as Rakhi pointed out, the TNEC municipality resolution from New Jersey points to a much deeper rot in the system that we highlight here through the questionnaire. And And it is not something that is going away. It's not like the two senators from New Jersey have renounced and denounced the Teaneck municipality question, resolution. And they probably haven't, the least they could have done is say that this is anti-Hindu and we do not accept this is hate. But they haven't, which shows us that there is a serious concern that in the community, in the Hindu community, that many of these lawmakers are actually buying into the disinformation that is being projected out through the resolutions like that of Teaneck. And that is why this questionnaire is important, because it makes them take a stand. It makes them take a position on where they stand on these issues, and whether they buy into that disinformation that is out there against the Hindu American community.
So I thank you, Sudha, for that. Rakhi, one question I want to highlight, because you live in California and I lived in California for several years, is the textbook issue that became really important for all the California Hindus, right? And that is where the it was just blatant lies about Hindu dharma, malicious lies about Hindu dharmas were propagated. So, what do you think? The role of federal government would be in, and because that is our question number two, and kind of related to question number three as well. What do you think our federal legislators will be able to do on question two and three? And for those who are just listening to this and not watching this, because we will have this as a podcast as well, question number two is, will you ensure that the textbooks and instructional materials that promote anti-Hindu tropes and reflect misrepresentation of Hindu dharma in publicly funded school textbooks and educational materials are removed in consultation with American Hindu organizations? And question number three, which is related, is, will you defund publicly funded universities and colleges that continue to institutionalize Hindu-phobic teaching? And I would hazard to guess that one of the things that is also included is doing Hindu-phobic conferences like Dismantle Global Hindutva Conference, right? On a public dime. I mean, they are public universities using public money to spread anti-Hindu and Hindu-phobic messages.
Yeah, I mean, these are issues that, at least at the very least, we bring it to their attention that on the public dime, right, as you mentioned, with government money, you've got these institutions, whether it's our public schools or whether it's our universities, that are using their platforms to spread hate against a particular community, right? And it's not okay for any community. And it's something definitely that the Hindu American community has kind of been the brunt of, or taken the brunt of, and we have to speak up. And so, this type of question is important primarily because we want to make sure that the lawmakers that are there, the people in power, are willing to actually do what's right to make sure that everyone in this country can live happily and safely without fear that their children are going to be indoctrinated, or the young adults as they grow up are going to live in a life of shame, or whatever it is. And so, maybe the lawmakers, they may not have direct control over that funding, but they definitely have the power to influence whatever funding is going to these particular institutions, and that needs to be called out.
Thank you, Rakhi. And so that as we come towards the end of this segment, I want your opinion on three of the related questions, and I'll go back to Rakhi on a Chingari one. So the three related questions for you is, you talked about the the BDS movement, which is boycott, divest, and sanction movement that has been targeted against Israel, and we see signs of that being targeted against the Hindu majority country, India. And so we included a question on that as a question number four, where we said, will you address and counter the targeted hate campaigns based on any individual group's religious or ethnic identity? The same issues facing the American Jewish community, issues of anti-Semitism rooted in the BDS movement, are now affecting the American Hindu community. Will you introduce legislation that addresses this? That is the first question. That's question number four. Then I point your attention to question number seven, which is, will you introduce and promote legislation that ensures equal right and security for Hindu communities in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and nations where religious minorities face state-sanctioned discrimination? And question number nine, which is which is about Bangladesh, and that is more than 3 million people were murdered in Bangladesh by the Pakistani army in 1971. Pro-Pakistan radical Islamists in Bangladesh continue to target Hindus in Bangladesh or even today. Will you work to see that this human rights catastrophe 1971 is officially recognized as a genocide? So these are the three kind of related issues, um, and they're geared towards uh, American foreign policy. Why did we
So
pick those?
So I think it is important to address, members of Congress influence foreign policy significantly. As I had noted previously in our conversation that 95% of the Hindus live outside America, and America being one of the the most powerful country in the world and has the ability to influence the lives of Hindus around the world, and in countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, Malaysia, even in the Caribbean, where there is significant Hindu numbers. America has a role to play, and as American Hindus, we have a role to play to influence the lives of those people positively through American foreign policy. So these questions, question number 4, question number 7, and question number 9, are directly related to addressing the positions of our lawmakers on the lives of the people, millions of them. So if I combine the populations of, unfortunately, there are no more Hindus left in Afghanistan, but if I combine the populations of Hindus in Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Malaysia and the Caribbeans together, that population is larger than the population of France and Germany. So it's not an insignificant number of Hindus that live in these countries in absolute second class citizen, third class citizen condition, formally institutionalized by many of their constitutions, especially in Pakistan. So so we need to work on these. That's why the questions are there, and it's important for lawmakers to have a position on this. Now, when it comes to the BDS movement and the targeting of Hindus in America, uh, time and again, if you see our website, if you see the Twitter account of HinduPACT, we document targeted campaigns against Hindus individually and against Hindu owned businesses, as well as against Hindus in other parts of the world, from the same or similar institutions and organizations that have in the past targeted the Jewish American community and the country of Israel, and expressed it in the form of the BDS movement. So there is a significant overlap of those individuals that are anti-Semitic in the American context, who are also turning out in the recent past to be anti-Hindu and have promoted Hindu hate. So it is important that lawmakers who have a better understanding of the anti-Semitic issues that have been in American society for 100 years at least, well documented, these lawmakers understand that almost the same pattern is being followed against Hindus, and the actors who promote the BDS movement and who promote anti-Semitism in America are also doing that significantly against the Hindu community in America. So this overlap needs to be understood, this overlap needs to be addressed, and that's why it is part of the questionnaire.
Thank you. So the Rakhi final question on this, why we have included a question on our Chingari project. Now, Chingari is a project which is which addresses the plight of Hindu girls in Sindh in Pakistan, who are like pre-teens or teenagers who are abducted and forcibly converted to Islam and married off to men who are 2, 3, 4 times their age. And so Chingari stands for Coalition for Hindu Girls Abducted and Their Rights. And our question number 8 says our Chingari project addresses the tragic realities of young women of minority status. And this is not just Hindu, right? Some of the Christian Ahmadi girls, Christian girls are also in the same category, but especially more than anyone else is Hindu girls who are of realities of young women of minority status in Pakistan. Will you co-sponsor a resolution to recognize and address this issue? What is our what are we looking for in terms of what should the resolution say if this resolution is introduced, and what is the reception when we talk informally over the last year or two to the current Congress members?
Yeah. So there's three parts to this, right? One is what's actually happening on the ground, and this has been documented by human rights organizations across the world, including the UN Human Rights, the European Parliament's Commission on Human Rights, the own State Department, U.S. State Department has said that this is happening to at least 3 girls a day in Pakistan, Hindus, Christians, Sikhs. Where they're snatched from their parents, raped, forcibly converted, and married off to men that are much older than them. And it's something that everyone needs to recognize as a human rights issue. But what we're asking lawmakers here in the United States to do is, U.S. gives tons of money to the Pakistani government. I mean, in the last 10 years, they've given over $6 billion of funding to Pakistan. And that needs to be recognized. Now, as far as this resolution goes, I mean, they have to recognize that this is happening, that this is something that is of concern to every citizen of the world, wherever you may be, right? Specifically here in the United States, which is a leader in the global political world. But the last part of this whole thing is that funding to rogue countries that cannot even respect their own citizens should be addressed. And they need to recognize that this money is actually not going for the humanitarian reasons or the aid reasons that they may see, but they're being used to oppress minorities in the country, to sponsor terrorism or whatever it may be. But the reception actually that we've gotten from lawmakers has been that a lot of them don't put the two and two together. Right. And they haven't really recognized exactly what's happening. What is the ground realities in Pakistan and how little girls are suffering. And the idea that money is being given from here to support a lot of that stuff. And so that connection has been kind of like a light bulb, like, oh, we need to pay attention to where our money is going and how it's being used in the world. And that's the thing that's most relevant to any U.S. citizen.
Absolutely. That's so well put. Thank you very much, Rakhi. So with that, I'll bring an end to this particular segment. I want to thank both of you for really doing so much hard work on this issue, because I think this has been in works for many months, and we have finally kind of brought it home. So I hope that the community sees the value in this. They participate, and we get thousands of people signing on to this and filling out the voter questionnaire and all of that. We will, of course, be sending out a newsletter and everything on this. And we will also be, putting this, as Utsav said, on Twitter. We'll create an educational and informational video on this. So please stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. And we talk about, how you can help through community organizations, through mandirs, in next week sometime. But with that, I want to kind of just go over a couple of very quick, regular segments that we do every time. So here's the first one. And well, we have to pick HinduVote because, as you guys can tell, putting up a website like we did, and creating a exceptional resource for the community is not cheap. We had to engage several software developers and other people to help us in building the website and help us in gathering the data that went on the website. It was many months of many people working on it, and not all of them volunteers. So we urge you to donate, whatever you can to the Hindu Vote project on HinduPACT, or donate to HinduPACT, hindupact.org/donate, HinduPACT, HinduPACT.org/donate. And you can make any amount of contribution you can. If it's $5 a month, $10 a month, $50 a month, even $3 a month, whatever you can donate. Just a price of a cup of coffee can make the Hindu voice heard. And we urge you to go to hindupact.org/donate and donate to Hindu Vote project. I mean, just donate to HinduPACT, and your money. Right now, this is a place where significant amount of our efforts are being spent. With that, the next one, and that is our next regular segment, is the Hindu Good News of the Week. For Hindu Good News of the Week, I want to propose that we talk about Hindu Heritage Month. October is Hindu Heritage Month, and Hindu Heritage Month has been gaining steam. Hindu Heritage Month has now received proclamations from dozens of states. Hindu Heritage Month has gained acceptance in over 12 countries this year. It's gone international. And there are over 100 events organized by, or over 150 events probably, organized by over 125 partner organizations in these 12 countries. So please go to hindumonth.org, hindumonth.org. I will share the website a little bit, and register your organization as a partner organization, because this is a community effort. It is not run by one organization in one country. And let me just share this website quickly with you, and so that you can see all the activities that are going on Hindu Heritage Month. You can see a global events calendar every single day. New events are getting added. You can add yourself as a partner organization. You can register your events. You can upload the proclamations. And I just show you a couple of quick things. If you look at the partners, these are the who's who of Hindu organizations in America. As you know, it's an endless list of partners. All the major Hindu organizations in America are part of this effort, and we profoundly thank them for being partners. And a lot of organizations have not submitted their logo. You can see several of the countries that are part of it now: Australia, Canada, Germany, India, Indonesia, Japan, Norway, Thailand, South Africa, US, UK, and these are the countries. If you go to proclamations, you can see dozens of proclamations. You can upload your proclamation here, but here are the proclamations from 2022, and you can see they've come from all different and many cities, and more are coming in every day. Canada actually declared October 22, the lower house of parliament in Canada declared it as Hindu Heritage Month, which is a significant achievement. All right, with that, I go to the very final segment of the show, and I would like to get your view on this. And so the sadly, a segment that we have to do, and that is this. And so that the Hindu phobe of the week. Let me bring up my. I somehow stopped the share. Is this person? This is the person in California, in Bay Area, and I don't know what's going on. This is the guy who has now been charged uh, for he's been charged with the anti-Hindu hate crime spree, and his name is Lanthan Johnson, and he lived in East Palo Alto in California, which is in Bay Area, right next to Palo Alto, where Stanford University is located. And so that this is what he did. Okay, he would uh, he targeted at least at least 14 older Hindu women of Indian descent during a 2-month crime spree that began in June. And what did he do? Um, he would see women wearing the traditional Hindu attire, and he would pull their wrist and try and snatch their jewelry. And in one instance, he actually beat up a woman's husband during the robbery spree. Okay, and most of this happened in the South Bay region of the Bay Area. That includes the areas where we have the largest number of Hindu American population, like Milpitas, San Jose, Santa Clara, and Sunnyvale. And nearly all of the victims were wearing a sari, a bindi, or other type of ethnic attire when they were attacked. And the victims were all between the ages of 50 and 73 years of age. So that, what is going on here? Why so many incidents of Hindu hate?
Two things are happening here, Ajay. Number one is there is a common understanding and perception that women, Hindu women, are have gold jewelry, and they have gold is very valuable, and then the general perception that women of Hindu origin uh, carry a certain amount of gold with them is now uh, it's now common knowledge, and it's spreading across the communities. And because of that, criminals have are identifying these individuals. That's number one. The second point is that because there is a concerted efforts to demonize Hindus in the mainstream, to call Hindus fascists, and to basically dehumanize Hindus in the public space, that is emerging from a lot of sources, including Islamist sources. Many people in the community consider Hindus as fair game. So if a Hindu has been demonized to the point where you targeting them will not evoke any sympathy for the victim, you are more likely as a criminal to target them. And I think that is the bigger driving factor in this conversation. And in California, it is becoming a pandemic because there, at the grassroots level in California, there are movements that are constantly trying to demonize Hindus. The Hindus are regularly called fascists and Nazis. The state of California has been has been convinced in some places to institutionalize discrimination against Hindus by bringing caste as a factor of defining people's identity. So all these things in different ways have combined to contribute to the dehumanization of the Hindus, and that you see being reflected in the activities of the criminals as well.
It's a very good point, Utsav. Thank you very much. And and that brings us to the end of our show today. It's excellent discussion. And for everyone who missed it, please go to elections 2022 hinduvote.org, or you can just go to hinduvote.org, hinduvote.org, and click and look at your candidate and look at your candidate's position. This is the QR code for the website, and you can just, while we leave this QR code up on the screen, so that you can just use your mobile phone and look up this QR code. We'll leave it on the screen for another few minutes while we listen to the closing music by our favorite band, Decibel, music that is created just for Hindu Lounge. With that, Utsada, thank you very much again for an excellent, excellent show and a lot of hard work that you have put in. I truly appreciate it. And we will see everyone again next week. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by HinduPACT, which is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective and initiative of World Hindu Council of America. Utsav is Utsav Chakrabarti. He is the executive director of HinduPACT. I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America. Hindu Lounge comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. We want to especially thank Rakhi Israni for joining us early in the morning with all our other commitments. So with that, Utsada, thank you and namaste. We'll see you next week. Namaste.
Thank you,
And
Namaste.